Gilson Schwartz is a professor of economics at the University of Sao Paulo, and he joins me via Skype from the city of Sao Paulo. Gilson, how much do you think the conflict in Ukraine cast a shadow over these BRICS discussions? Your takeaway so far?
Well, as you know, every shadow is also the result of light. So in this case, I think that the Chinese participation leading now the BRICS agreement towards the future, towards open development, is a clear sign that we may be starting to illuminate a pathway through and over beyond the Ukraine conflict. I think this is one of the most important declarations. I think that unfortunately the president of Brazil is on the brink of going to jail because he's now has been really caught openly in the corruption pot. So we are in the midst of an electoral campaign, so everything is really, really unstable here in Brazil. But if I were a candidate, or even the president, because he can't say nothing now, he's almost being prosecuted and impeached. But I mean, there's an electoral debate here. I think that everyone should listen to China very clearly and calmly, that we have a way forward through open development.
China has criticized Western sanctions, and many of these BRICS countries have stayed away from condemning Russia's actions in Ukraine. Is there a united front when it comes to what Russia has done in Ukraine?
Well, you know that China is known for many, many years as the empire of the center, of the midway. So I think that there is a conflict now between those that want absolute justice and those who want absolute peace. And I think that China understands the realities of history and is very much, I would say, if I may interpret the president's speech, I think that when he criticizes Western sanctions, he's meaning something even deeper. Because Western history, the history of capitalism in Western societies, especially in Europe, as you know, has been very complicated, and to say the least. And one thing is really, I think, consensual when we think about the history of Western societies. It's individualism. We developed a system of absolutely obstinate individualism. And what the president now is saying and showing the way forward is we have to think socially, collectively. The importance, I think, for the Chinese spirit, and it's something really part of the culture, that we also care for the other. So sanctions, by definition, is something that you do against someone.
I'm sure you know that the Western countries, United States and its allies, clearly do not see it that way. Let me move on to India, which is certainly in an interesting position, a member of BRICS, but also a member of the Quad group, which includes Australia, Japan, and the United States.
And let's not forget also a nuclear power. Science and technology is also astonishing in India, and they have a role to play in history as well. I would say that we are now, surprisingly maybe, counting on the wisdom of people and nations and countries where we have ancient modes of thought that really regard the future as the result of social collective work and not only of vengeance or hate or exploitation or just discrimination against the other. And then when you have conflicts, you go to war. I mean, we have to build a new form of engagement that recognizes the need for justice and for peace. But realistically, I think that the BRICS countries realized that it was not theirs drama, it was not theirs, maybe not part of their history, or maybe our history as people living in the South.
You seem very optimistic and hopeful about this BRICS bloc. They certainly represent more than 40% of the world's population, almost a quarter of the global GDP. But Gilson, do you really believe it has lived up to its expectations since its founding back in 2006?
Let's focus on three main issues: population, food, of course, and energy. So population means communication on a global scale. So we are now really on the brink of a new age that so many people expected. It's not that easy, but we are clearly united digitally. So I think that the digital issue concerns new forms of supporting forms of life for the population. But we need food. And the BRICS countries, they are very important in the global food markets and food technologies. It's not just, raw food. It's really processed food, ultra-processed food, the exports and imports of fertilizers. All this is part of a new form that's still to be seen. It's in the making. While the old world is crumbling down, we are in the way, looking for this middle way with food for a population that communicates among themselves. And then, of course, in order for all this to run well, smoothly, and sustainably, we need energy. So I think that we are really focusing on positive prospects for the resumption of global growth, realizing that it's not that easy, it's not that fast, there's not a shortcut to progress and prosperity. On the other hand, we have to speed up, we have to accelerate recovery using new technologies and science. That's where China and India play a wonderful role.
All right, we'll have to see, of course, energy and the food crisis exasperated, but what is happening in Ukraine? We'll have to leave it there. Gilson Schwartz, thank you.